why is this sock so large? None of these are going to be kept in their form that they are right now. Hello, welcome back to my channel, and it's by Mandy. My name is Amanda, and today we're doing some spring cleaning. This video is the first part of a two-part spring cleaning series I want to do on my channel. In this first episode, we'll go through some whips and finished objects. Second part, I'd like to look at my stash, help pick out some projects or some yarn I haven't decided yet, and part with some yarn that I'm just not planning on using. I may end up selling a few items on my Instagram, so if you're interested in any of the items that I share here and any yarn that you see in the next video, please be sure to follow me over there, and I'll be posting about it as it kind of comes together. It won't be for a little bit until the second video is posted. 2023 marked my third year of garment making, and I've noticed that some of my shelves and some of my drawers are getting full of either unfinished whips or finished objects that I'm just not getting a lot of use out of. So in the spirit of spring cleaning, I've decided to go through some of my whips with you and some of my finished objects that I'm just not wearing that much, and we can decide their fate together. So for the whips, I'll be deciding whether I frog them and what I'll do with the yarn. For my finished objects, I'll be deciding whether I keep them, frog them, sell them, or give them away. I think if I'm deciding to give away, I'm going to opt for my local Buy Nothing group. I'm not sure if this is just an American thing, but basically they're super local Facebook groups where people just give items freely, and I think it'd be a great way to maybe find some other crafters in my neighborhood that would either appreciate the items or just frog them for the yarn that the item is made out of, because a lot of the items I think I don't wear because I don't like the yarn. So that's what I'm going to opt for. It makes me feel a little better than just donating them to a charity shop or a thrift store, which is also a fine option, but knowing that they'll go to someone makes me feel good, and it's also honestly easier for me because it's like local pickup, so your neighbor can just come and pick it up instead of me having to make a separate trip to the thrift store, even though I love the thrift. Let's start with the two whips that I have to share with you. I am a pretty monogamous knitter, and I am super motivated by finishing objects. So I don't have a lot of unfinished whips. The ones that I do have are kind of tragic. So let's start with one that I started last year, and this is the Pure Mesh Crop by James M. Watts. I decided that I wanted to make this for my birthday last year, and I never got finished. So I got the body panels done, and I was shortening one of the sleeves, but my biggest mistake I think that I made was with the weight of yarn. So this calls for a lace weight yarn, and I decided that fingering would be fine, and I got really nervous as I was running out of yarn. It's a great pattern. I'm not sure if it's something that I would knit again, because I had this vision of making this for my 25th birthday, or no, it was my 26th birthday, and like wearing it out dancing, and the truth is I just don't really do that much anymore. Something like maybe the Show Me Your Holes top would be better for my wardrobe if I wanted to go for something more like this kind of like lace see-through vibe. But very cool pattern, very cool designer, just not fitting in my wardrobe at this current moment in time for my activities and my wardrobe needs. So I knit this up with a superwash fingering wool that I got from a Etsy shop called Lynn's Fine Yarns. I had this idea of doing a sparkly yarn, so that's what I decided to do, and it's kind of in this like ox blood maroon variegation. It's very pretty, but I just didn't finish it, and I'm pretty sure I was running out of yarn. Although I could maybe reassess that now that I have more knowledge and I have a kitchen scale, so I could really just figure that out. But I think this will definitely be frogged, and I will either give this yarn away or de-stash it on my Instagram, because it is good yarn. I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that. So it wasn't expensive for this piece, but you know, it's a nicer yarn. So a hand-dyed yarn. It never got finished. I think I just gave it up, and then I remember I got food poisoning, and then I cast on my Anchor sweater. So Great story, Amanda. I also think I wasn't sure if this was gonna fit me, and I know this is supposed to grow a lot in blocking, but I don't know. I think it might, especially now. I think I've gained weight since then, so I don't think it would fit. Well, I have my monitor up over here as my like viewfinder, but what do you think? I don't think it would. Maybe. Okay. Well, I think this I can bravely say I will frog and then maybe give away or sell the yarn. And also mention what I'm wearing. This is the, I always mess up the name. I say it differently in every single video. It is the So Secret or the Secret Crop. It's either the So Secret Crop or the Secret Crop by Jessie Made. It is not the free fingering weight tank top that looks like this, but the paid DK weight pattern that looks like this. So where it's the summer crop, I'm sorry, I always mess it up even though I go back and check. This is knit in Madeline Tosh cotton and wool in the color Chile Nights. Like Chile, the country. Okay. The next item I have is one that I shared back in October, and then I think I never talked about it again on the pod, was this sock. And this is the Vanilla Sock by Crazy Sock Lady. This is the first sock that I ever tried to knit, and I think I foolishly tried to do it on 9-inch circulars. So you might also notice that the sock is freaking huge. Like, why is this sock so large? I remember in January, I was doing a little knit night with my friend, and I was holding up this sock, and she was like, what the fuck? She was like, that's way too big. But yeah, I am not a sock girly. If I did knit a sock again, I would make sure to probably get DPNs, because doing the heel flap with the 9-inch circulars was not fun, and the 9-inch circulars I think in general kind of hurt my hands. This is in Hobbies, one of Hobbies sock yarns, I think Crazy Sock, in the colorway Aristic Acrobatics. I did the heel turn, and then as I was knitting the gusset, I realized that my stitch count was off. So if you look here, kind of where the stitch markers are, I don't know if you can really tell, but it's not even. It's not right, it's too big. I will definitely, honestly, let's frog this right now together, because it's just not it. It's not it. It's too big anyway, and I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't enjoy making a sock, and this is, you know, not about the pattern really, but about the process for me. So yeah, let's just go. Some frogging ASMR content for you. Let's get that heel turn going. Frogging just feels really good, honestly. At first, I think when you start as a knitter, you might be frogging a lot, and so I think you have this, at least me, I had this negative connotation with it because it usually represented that I had messed something up or done something wrong, and I was losing all this progress. But you know, I think as you get more tuned into your style and to sizing, and once you get the feeling of making something that doesn't fit you, you're like, okay, let's frog this and do it right the first time. And I have to say, I was pretty allergic to it, maybe the first year or so, but I think this spring even, just frogging a few of my items, it feels really good. Ooh, this is the best part. All done. Here's what's left of that. Yikes. Okay, so I'll wind this up later. Let's keep moving on. Moving on to some of my finished objects. I already kind of have these decisions made up in my head about where I want things to go because I've been thinking about this for a while. So let's go through the different categories together. Frog, sell, giveaway. Let's start with the things that I want to frog to either repurpose the yarn or remake the piece. The first item is one that I've talked about my channel a lot in my original planning video for the year, in my spring planning video, so I won't talk too much about this, but just for the sake of the video, this is something that I'm re-planning on making, and this is my Ingrid top by Gregoria Fibers. It is a beautiful top knit in Sanduscar and Line, and I think in the colorway Aquamarine. It's just this really pretty like eyelet top. It's a very similar color to the one that I'm wearing now. I did this thing last year where I accidentally acquired all this blue yarn and I had all these blue tank tops. The issue with me for this tank top is twofold. One, it is too big and the armpits come down too low, so you end up seeing a lot of my bra, which I just don't really like. I think this could be a much more kind of like polished look, but it ends up looking just kind of bleh. I also didn't like what the pattern suggested for the underarms, like the arm cuffs. Basically what you do is you knit in the round and stockinette in a smaller needle, and then I think you just bind off in a stretchy bind off, and I just think that compared to the really pretty double knitting, it doesn't look as good. I'm gonna have to revisit the pattern, and I think what I'm gonna do, instead of frogging the whole thing, I think I could probably maybe frog back to up here and make this where the underarms meet, or just kind of frog back, meet the underarms at a different place. Then I'll cut off, you know, this extra fabric, make the ease a little bit smaller, and the armhole smaller. And then I'll figure out what I want to do. If I go back to the original podcast video I posted about this, there were a lot of good ideas of what I could do with the armpits, so I'm gonna revisit that because my comment sections are always a wealth of knowledge, and I just so appreciate that. So I'm gonna check in on that, and that will be a kind of rehab project, a flip for this tank top, because I really like the design and I think this was something I will get wear out of if it fits me correctly. The next finished object that I have is one that I haven't talked about as a finished object, I think, unless it was in a styling video that I posted last spring. And this is the bovine tank by Park and Knit. It is basically like a tube top with these double knit straps in this really fun cow print intarsia design. This is my first time doing color work. It's not perfect, and as you can see, the colors have bled in blocking. I knit this using Cot Lin by Knit Picks in the colorway Black and Swan, and as the little silly beginner knitter that I was, I didn't check to see if these colors would bleed in blocking. I didn't swatch it. There's also a few other things that went wrong with this tank top. I'm supposed to knit the bottom band on a smaller needle size, and I didn't do that, so it kind of flares out, unlike the top, which is a little more tighty other than, you know, the color bleeding. And because of the color bleeding, I don't wear this, and I'm not super convinced I would wear this a lot even if the colors didn't bleed. I think the idea is so cute and fun in theory, but it's just like it's like a tube, you know? Like, it's just not like my preferred garment fit. That is to say that I think I would really like to reclaim this yarn and maybe not work it together. There's tons of parts where the white is fully intact, so I can just maybe cut out the parts where the white got dyed and reuse this yarn. I think, you know, having a black cotton linen in the stash is always a good thing, and same with the white. Park and Knit also came out with a vest that I do want to make this year. It's called the Vacation Vest. Maybe I could reuse this yarn to make that. So that is my poor little bovine tank. I was really proud of this though because of the intarsia. It was hard for me to read a chart. I don't think I was probably doing it in the best way that I could. I was just like going up to my PDF and like making sure I could see what row. But the good thing was that the cow print's like pretty abstract and forgiving. So yeah, that is my little color work top, but I do think I will frog it and harvest some of this nice yarn and not knit this black and white yarn together next time. let's talk about some items that I want to sell. These are items that I made all last year that I don't really get a lot of wear out of, but I think that are made in fibers that people would maybe be more inclined to buy than some of the other pieces I'll show you. And also the other pieces I'll show you, they have a lot of construction flaws that I wouldn't be like comfortable putting a price on. So I feel like these are pretty well made garments, and with the quality, like with the combination of the fiber, that was why I might want to sell them. First is a vest that was inspired by a Well Loved Knits video. This is made in We Are Knitters Petite Wool, and it's cute. It's really cute. I just don't wear pullovers or sweater vests. I don't like how they look on me, and I thought they would have maybe more versatility in my wardrobe, and they really don't. I don't think that this is really a yarn I would go for again, this kind of single ply chunky wool. It's not my favorite, although this one's soft compared to another one that I have to show you. So yeah, the color's not like to die for. I think it maybe kind of washes me out a little. So not my favorite, but I think I might find someone who would want to buy this. So this is going on the sell. Next one is also a slipover. This is the Stockholm slipover by Petite Knit that I made this fall. I've talked about this a lot. This is made with a La Bien-Aimée merino single in rose quartz, held double with drops air. I just don't like this yarn. Like, I don't like the color. It's not my style. And I also don't like the slip over. So again, I talked about these a lot, I think, in my 2022 when I made this year videos, like why I don't really like them. And the Stockholm slipover pattern's great. It's fine. It's very simple, basic. And this is cute, I think, for someone else. This isn't like my thing. I don't think a lot of variegation like this and like speckles like this is my thing. And that's okay. So it is pretty. It just like, I also don't love the color. I don't know. It's just not feeling it, but maybe you would want to buy it. Maybe. So I think this is going in the sell pile as well. I think if I were to ever make a slipover again, which I don't think I will, I would make one that's like almost like those dresses that you see people wear. Even then, I don't think I would wear it. I think I'd be maybe more likely to layer it, but I just didn't end up reaching for these pieces. I think the weather here doesn't really lend to that much transitional weather. It's already like 80 degrees here today in Washington, D.C., which is like 27 degrees Celsius. So the season for vests is honestly, I have mohair in my lip gloss. The season for vests is very small. So lots of reasons I think I would say goodbye to these. The next one that I'm debating on selling, and I've talked about a lot of this on my Instagram, is the Cami number 5 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This is knit and knitting for Olive in dark cognac. It's a gorgeous design. It's a gorgeous design. It's a gorgeous yarn. I don't wear a high-necked wool camisole. Maybe somebody else could. I don't really feel so strongly attached to this yarn that I know exactly what else I would do with it. Thinking of selling this as well, just because it doesn't spark joy anymore, really. It's not a comfortable wear for me. It's not practical with like undergarment. I don't like how it looks without an undergarment, and then you can see my bra straps if I wear one, and I don't like how that looks on me. And this is maybe something this is just a me thing. People are like, oh, you can layer it under a shirt or like a jacket, but I don't like on me wearing a high-necked shirt and then also wearing something over that. It makes me feel a little almost like too covered up. Like I like having a little skin, you know? So it's not my look. It's not my ideal. I have cotton tank tops in this very similar like shape that I wear much more often because they make much more sense to wear because they're cotton, and they're in a much finer knit because they're store-bought and the rib actually sucks me in. lots of things I could say. This just isn't it for me. And all this to say, I'm not really commenting on the patterns themselves in this video. It's really just kind of like what the finished object works like in my wardrobe. So these are the items that I would like to sell. On to the items that I have decided to part with. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but I think it's time to make more room in my literal closet. These are all items on the chopping block that I made in my first year of knitting. They are sentimental, but at the same time, I just don't wear them that often, and I'm excited to make some pieces that more fit what I would be looking for now. The first one is my first crochet project ever that doesn't even have all the ends woven in. And let me turn it around. This is what it looks like. So I decided I wanted to teach myself how to crochet, and I used this granny square crop top idea as a way to do it. I think it was inspired by a TikToker, and I decided to make it in acrylic yarn, which, you know, I just talked about my climate and the heat, and I won't go into why wearing plastic in 90-degree weather doesn't really work out well for you. So I am proud of this. I do wonder if someone will actually want this, but I'm gonna put everything up that I'm about to show you in my Buy Nothing group with the disclaimer, like, you could frog this and reclaim this yarn. For me, I just don't think I would want to use this yarn, or nor do I want to frog it. But maybe someone could find use for these really bad granny squares. I don't know. Maybe someone wouldn't want this. Maybe I need to burn this. I don't know. But the thing about Buy Nothing groups is you would be surprised at the things that people want. So before you think to yourself, why would anybody want that? You would be surprised what you see in those groups. Like, people will give away like sauce packets and people will take them. So if people want like old soy sauce, maybe they would want this. Soy sauce, arguably much more utilitarian than this. But she's gotta go. She takes up space in my drawer. I don't like her. I don't plan on using this yarn. And I honestly kind of hate that like the blue is so striking and the yellow is so pastel. I don't like that. But I like, my favorite are the blue ones. I think these are really cute. So that's my poor little daisy crop top, and it's gotta go. But how cute is the ruffle edge too, you know? Next one, I think this will be part of the second part of this video, which is clearing out my yarn stash, because I have a lot of yarn from this tank top left over, but I don't feel called to this color in the same way that I did before. And this is probably like one of my first, I think this is the first tank top I ever made. And she's not bad. She's not bad, but I just don't, maybe I should keep it. I just don't wear it. There's a few things that maybe I could do if I wanted to save it. I could add maybe I-cord edging on the armpits and the hem. I feel like the armpits look really bad. For some reason in this pattern, I won't say the designer because I don't want to like be that negative, but for some reason on this pattern you cast off on the armpits instead of just like decreasing, and it looks really bad. I think it also just looks really bad in cotton. Like maybe with a wool it would look better, but it doesn't look good. And it, like, let me show you on this side. It doesn't look good. Obviously there's also like wear, because I did get a lot of wear out of this. It's just not my favorite thing anymore. I would like to maybe free this from my wardrobe and leave space for something that's maybe a little more elevated than this. This is another sweater. It is a Tunic design. It is made in panels, and this is made in Lion brand wool ease. This is the second sweater I ever made. It is knit in Lion brand wool ease in the colorway denim, which is this really pretty like blue that has hints of greens and purples and even pinks throughout. Again, this isn't a construction that's like elevated. I think both of these patterns, they don't have any real finishing details. So the cuff is unrolled, the hem's unrolled. There's no no neckline whatsoever. It's just kind of like unfinished. I think if maybe someone wanted to add an I-cord edging, could be cool. But there is also, twisted my stitches really badly when I was splitting for the V-neck right here. So for those reasons, I also don't like the yarn. Did I say that? To wear. I just don't like wearing acrylic yarn. I just don't like it. So use acrylic yarn if you love it, but it's to wear, not my jive, not my jam. Because wool uses like 80% acrylic and 20% wool, which I find a little underwhelming. So I feel a little snobby saying that, but it's not my favorite yarn to work with. It's not my favorite yarn to wear. But of course, if you like it, wear it. Like, do what works for you. I'm not God. This is going in the giveaway pile. I think maybe if someone was brave, they could salvage it if they really liked it, or they could just frog this guy and get that Woolies yarn for another project. Last sweater that I have, and the last object that I have to show you all, is something that I made last fall. No, not this last fall, but this was maybe the third sweater I ever made, and I made this in a collaboration with an app called Bellish over on TikTok, which I don't even post on TikTok anymore. So the app was it doesn't exist anymore, but you could make your own knitting patterns by putting in some simple inputs like texture, design, construction, and I decided to make this sweater kind of inspired by Gilmore Girls, even though like I don't get Gilmore Girl vibes at all from this, but I was inspired by Rory's like white fisherman sweater that she wears early on, I think in one of the first seasons. And at the time I don't think I knew how to cable, so I was like, I'll do this. And I decided to make it in Drops Snow, which is a single ply chunky weight wool, and it is itchy. It is an itchy wool, and this is a chunky sweater. I've told you about the weather here. You can do the math on why I don't get a lot of wear out of this. That combined with the weirdness that I did on the sleeves. So first I decided I needed to pick up extra stitches on the sleeve, and now I have this really weird kind of like, if I hold it this way you can tell, this really weird like dangly part under the sleeve. But then the sleeve decreases on this pattern were so drastic. I would just not ever do that on this kind of construction. And it was also a bottom-up construction. A lot of things, I don't know what happened. The neck's also like, just holding it up to my skin and like itchy. However, I think one, maybe someone would like this. Maybe someone mostly would like this wool. There's a lot of things you could do with this wool. You could dye it, you could use it in felting projects, and this just takes up so much freaking room, like physically on my shelves. Like a lot of these sweaters that I first made were so big, and when I don't wear them, and two, I just don't have room for all of these huge sweaters. So this is going, just going goodbye. But we had a good run. We had a good run. Whew. I don't know about you guys, but I feel so much better after deciding what I want to do with some of these items. It is a little bittersweet, but it is good to know that we're always progressing and growing as crafters, and our tastes are ever evolving and changing. I'm excited to make room in my wardrobe for some more pieces that can be more well-loved, well-worn, and well-utilized. And I really want to say thank you for you all for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see y'all soon. Bye!